Welcome to the R video tutorial on confidence interval and hypothesis test on the mean. This time we're going to use t.test. This is part of Statistics 321 at Virginia Commonwealth University, but anybody's free to use it. All right, let's jump in. So we're familiar with all of the formulas that we're going to go through today, and I'm just going to explain them really quick again, and we'll bounce back and forth between the slides and R, but we'll keep us going here. So these are our standard formulas for a confidence interval when you took statistics, wherever you took it. This was the formula that you used for a confidence interval on the mean, and this is the hypothesis test statistic that you would have used when you did your hypothesis tests. Okay, and we're going to jump over to R and see how t.test does this. All right, now that we jumped over to R, what we're going to use is our cycler data again. So keep it on the desktop. If you've left it there, I put it on the desktop. If you don't have this, it's found in the repository that's found in the description below. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this in. So just like before, read.csv does it for us, and we can see that our data read in fine down here in the console. We can also see it over here in our environment. We can open it up, see what the values are. Now, one thing that we might want to be interested in is doing some tests on these CPK values. So one of the CPK values, let's just focus on CPK1 and try to run a t-test on it. So let's suppose we want to know if our hypothesis for CPK1 is the mean is less than 787. Okay, so to do that, have to pay attention to three different things here that's important for you to pay attention to. I'm going to scroll this down for you. First thing, it is a one-sided test. Okay, pay attention because there's a less than sign. Okay, and we have a value. Which is 787. Okay, so what we want to do is t.test. Pretty easy. We're going to do cycler 1, and we're interested in CPK1. Okay, then we're interested in mu. So mu here is going to be 787. And if we're interested in the properties of this, always be ready to just type into the console for help. Okay, so if I do this, I get t.test. It shows me if I have two groups. Right now we have one, and notice it says alternative, one-sided or more. So often what I like to do is just copy this, copy this right out of here and paste it in. There's no point in having to type it all, because sometimes it's hard to remember exactly what you were doing. Okay, so what we want to do now is put this information in. So we have mu, which is our tested mean, and we're interested in if it's less than. The alternative could be any of these. We're specifically interested in less. So I'm going to delete these others, but I don't have to type it, and that was the key of this copy and paste, is to avoid making any typing mistakes. And I need to put a comma here to make sure everything's good, and then when I run it, I will get my output. So when I look at the output, you can see that there is a p-value here, 5.529 e to the negative 15. So this thing's really close to zero. So what we would say is that we have a lot of evidence that's saying that it actually is less than 787. And that actually does make sense because the mean is actually 500. I picked 787 because I'm going to take a flight soon, and 787 is the name of the jet. But anyway, it gives us a chance to do this. Notice that it produces a one-sided confidence interval here. So if you look here, our lower bound is negative infinity. Because this is a one-sided test, this produces a one-sided confidence interval. And sometimes you actually want a one-sided confidence interval. You just want to know what's the biggest it could be, possibly. So what's the biggest the mean could be? This would be it. All right, so we have the one-sided down. We could make it two-sided if we wanted to. All we had to do is delete this because that's actually the alternative. Okay, so if we take this out, or we'll just copy and paste it at the moment, if you wanted to keep that around in your code, take that line out, and how I'm going to do that is just good old delete. And you'll see that you'll get a different answer, and that's important. Okay, so here is looking at the true mean is not equal to 787. It gives you a different p-value. It's no longer one-sided. We get a two-sided confidence interval for this. Okay, and we need to keep that in mind. We get two-sided. And if we're really lazy and we just shove this into t.test, R has no idea what we want to test. So if you run this, it actually tests to see if the true mean is not equal to 0, which is often just an idiotic hypothesis test, especially if you're dealing with real values on things. Sometimes the default of 0 is good, because if we're interested in a difference, then 0 is often what we're interested in. Is it different? If the difference is 0, then they're not different. But in this case, you don't want to keep this around, so we're just going to delete this. But I wanted to make you aware that if you don't specify these other things, you'll probably get the problem wrong, because rarely do we ever test 0 on a single value or on a single column. All right, so let's jump back over to the slides and look how to do differences. Okay, now we're back over here in the slides, and notice that this time we're interested in a mean difference. So often you'll have a before and after type test. So what you want to do is see if there's a change in it. So that's what you're looking for, is a change or a difference between two time points, and they're on the same object typically. They're typically grouped on the same object. This time the formulas almost look the same, except we have D's stuck, the letter D stuck on everything, because what we're interested in is the difference here, the difference between the two time points. So we calculate the mean difference, D bar, and we calculate its standard deviation, S sub D, and then there are N sub D difference observations. Use the same formulas that we had before and plug them in, and bingo, it works. And best of all, t.test does this in R. So let's jump over there. Okay, we're back, and over here in R, and we can look at, we have some differences here that we could be interested in. We have the same subject, and we kind of have a before and after. They started at time 1, and they were measured again at time 4, and we can look to see if there's a difference across these. Okay, so that's the key, is we want to see if there's a difference between these two. And we can do that easily with a paired t-test in R using t.test. So here we're going to use is t.test. We're going to put in cycler 1, and here I'm going to put in cycler 1, and then I'm also going to put in here cycler 1, and I'm going to put CPK4. That's the one I'm interested in, CPK4. Okay, and I'm also interested in knowing that it's paired. Okay, so paired in this case is true. So what it's going to do is it's going to subtract those two values from each other and create differences. And this is the key. So let's put a little comment up here. This is the paired difference test. Okay, and we're not looking to see if one is less than the other. We're just looking to see if there's any change over time. If we were to run this, this is the output we get. And notice the p-value is actually quite high. So this is nowhere near any sort of cutoff that would be reasonable. Nobody wants to be wrong 76% of the time. So in this case, we would fail to reject H0. Also, we can get a confidence interval out of here, 95% confidence interval. And we also get the mean difference here. So you get a lot of information out of this. And it's all on here that you can just easily grab for a paired t-test. Okay, now the other type of test that we actually might want to do is one where we're actually interested in comparing two groups, like a difference in means. So let's jump over to the slides and look at that. Okay, we've jumped back over to our slides again. This time we're interested in the difference in means. So we have two groups, two populations. Before we had just a difference among the same people. This is two different groups of people. So we have one population 1, one population 2, named population 2. We have mu1 for population 1 and mu2 for population 2. The standard confidence interval formula, or formula that you probably used before, is this one here. There's some other variants of it. For the test statistic, this was the test statistics that you might have used, and there's other variants for it. Sometimes there's n-1 in the bottom, and but we're going to use this version, and these are the degrees of freedom. So this great formula here, and in this formula you're going to round it down. But anyway, that'll work out fine for us. And the good thing is t.test does both of these for us as well. So let's jump back over to R. Okay, we're back. Let's jump into this. We're interested now in a difference in means. And then here we want to look at males and females. It's two groups that are easily just worked with, right? Because we know that males are different than females. So before we had on the same individual, now we have two distinct group of people. So males are males, females are females in this case. So here we are. Let's put it in here. Difference in means, difference in CPK between males and females. And again, t.test will do this for us. And remember, this is not a paired test. So I'm going to do cycler 1, and then I want CPK1 again. Okay? And then I want cycler 1 and CPK1 again. But now I need to divide them up, and I'm going to show you two ways to divide them up. We can use our subset notation to do this. So I'm going to take this and say I want all of them where cycler 1 $ gender equals male. So that was M. Okay? And I can copy and paste this on, because these are defining our two variables, where cycler is equal, gender is equal to F. And this should give us the test, because we're wanting to see if they're equal. The default hypothesis of 0 is fine. So let's give this a run, and sure enough, what it does is it shows us that there is a p-value of 0.005352. So if this is less than your significance level that you've chosen, then you would declare this significant. If it's bigger than that, then you would declare it insignificant. And this is sort of a borderline case, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, and again, it's the difference in means is equal to 0 or not equal to 0. So that's what we're looking for. It gives us a 95% confidence interval. So some of the groups could differ by 40 to 216. All right, so there's an alternative way to do this and get the same sort of information. So let's do cycler 1, CPK1, and then here I'm going to use the twiddle. Okay, we did this with box plots, and it'll work here as well. This twiddle will allow us to do one against the other. So I can just do here gender, and if it's two groups, I can run this as an alternative, and notice that I get something that's similar but slightly different. If you notice these, I specified which one was male and which one was female. So my 95% confidence interval goes from 40 to 216. But if I use it here, I get from negative 216 to negative 40. The p-value is still the same. The groups between the group means are still the same. But it does change that because it's going to put things in alphabetical order. So F becomes before M, and that's why it's flipped the sign around, because above we have M before F. Okay, so now that we know how to use t.test in R, we should be able to do lots and lots of t-tests very, very quickly and very, very easily. Okay, let's move on to the next video.